Well, what the heck? Apex has these finish the account in 1 day promos going on. What was it? 80% off, and you can finish an account in 1 day instead of a typical seven. I decided to take a shot at it. And anyhow, I liked where the market was this morning pre market on the NASDAQ. Let's take a look where we were. We were way up here. Let me So anyhow, let's show that first. So anyhow, this is where we were this morning. Where were we? Yeah, we were right up here. We were up here this morning. So we had the rally yesterday, then we drifted up, lifted up overnight session. So we were way up here, and I got an iGrid sell signal. So just seeing the market up here in the overnight session and pre-market, I just left it alone. I was hoping it would hold, and I thought, okay, I'm going to do one of these 20K in 1 day, and you only got a $7,500 drawdown limit, and then you have a trailing stop. So if you get, let's say you get 11, 12, 13 grand in the money, and then it reverses hard on you, then then you got to be careful so you don't hit your trailing drawdown. So I got in probably too light. Well, it ended up being too light, and I thought we're going to push a bit first, so I didn't want to put on like a 50 lot MNQ. I just traded MNQs because I like the way I can cycle in and out of those. So I worked MNQs, and then when all this happened, and then we had the big down move, I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I could have been done in one move, real easy, if I would have loaded up. So anyhow, then the market sold off, and then boy, did they fight hard to get it back up. And this move right here was special to me. We had a level sweep of this level here, and I hit it hard. So I basically was in too light to get the 20K as I was scaling out. I didn't know we were going to get this big down leg. I thought we might stay in a range, and we have to work the upper side of range as a seller and lower side of the range as a buyer. Uh, and once this happened, that kind of changed things. So I kind of went to a point where I actually was flat, worked a little bit, and then once this area was here, I re-engaged, and when I got the big pump, I hit that really hard. I faded this move. I was in it light, and then I hit it heavy once we had the level sweep. And I was like, okay, it needs to rotate and come lower, and then I'll have a shot. Maybe I can get the 20K in a day, especially if we can come back and retest the day's lows, which we did, and that made a big difference because I was in the 18,000 and change in here. So I had to really load up and cycle inventory in and out of here. And then right when this leg happened, I was just below 20K after commissions. I think it was at 19,700. So then I was a buyer bit, just seeing if I could get any sort of a bounce. I don't want to sell a market sitting at the lows. I got just enough of a bounce to get over 20K in 1 day and past that challenge. Let's go look real quick. So here's the markers. So let me blow this up real quick. Oh, real quick before I do that. So I made $20,388. The key is my net liquidity is $320,000 or $320,025.90. That baby's got to be over 20K made. So that's what you made, and then that's what you got after commissions. So that's the key. I got to finish the day, uh, over 20,000 over. So I did that. So let's go look at where I was working in and out of liquidity. So that first chart was NQs. Here's MNQs. So I put on some liquidity right here, and I knew I was going to be writing it through PPI News. I was pretty confident that PPI News would be slightly down, PPI News would be slightly negative to heavily negative. So if it would have shot up, I was light enough that I could have faded, 50, 60, 70, even 80 point move and, work with that. So if there wouldn't have been PPI News, I wouldn't have probably gotten the big sell off, which helped me, and I would have gotten in heavier. So, you got to take your shot. So I got in here. I was covering some here, covering some here, covering some here. I think I covered, I was in some final, little bit of runners. And then I was looking at my P&L, and so I added some, and I was thinking we'd get a bounce, and I would fade it and see if we could get more downside. Eventually, I went completely flat. Then I was a seller, covering, selling, covering, just kind of at that point, I'm like, okay, I wasn't heavy enough short. And I think in here, maybe I was sitting at 9, 10 grand. And I'm like, okay, whatever, no chance. But then the market, I got busy, came back and it rallied. So I started hitting it pretty hard. And I put on some size in here. And I think by the time we were in here, I was up to about 12-ish thousand. And then in this move, I laid into it. I came in soft in the beginning. And then right after we did the level sweep, my position size was real high, like real high. Like I need a rotation to have a shot. And as soon as it rotated and started coming down, uh, it worked out. And then I was in and out, because I was like, you know, it's kind of like you're watching the P&L. And I kept thinking, if we can just get down to the low of the day again, if they puke this up at the end of the day, if we can get to the low of the day, I got a shot at this. If we come down here and go sideways the rest of the day, I've got a shot, but I'm going to have to be selling upper side of the range, buying lower side with heavy size. And if we get any sort of pump or end day, rescue squad comes in, then, I'm going to have to work the long side heavy, flip directions. So I kept selling and covering, selling, covering. This is like dynamic trading. So in a sense, I was doing what the iGrid automated is going to do. The iGrid automated would sell, and then it'd be, adding, covering, adding, covering, adding, covering, adding, covering, adding, covering. And basically at the end of the day, you'd have to go flat because we were short from the pump and rollover all the way down. And this is a less responsive settings on the iGrid, so I can see the bigger structural moves. On the NQ, I have it set more responsive. But yeah, I worked it hard. This level sweep and rotation, and then the way it sold off, I probably took off way too much size too early. I probably could have been done right in here, but in this area, I wasn't really thinking, okay, I've got a good shot at getting the 20K. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get to 15, 16. And if the market goes sideways, okay, that's fine. Then over the next 6 days of trading, I only have 4, 5K to go, no big deal. But as it kept cycling and working lower, and that big move gave me confidence that we would make a run and at least test this low. It's a Friday. That was a pretty ugly sell off. They came in and pumped it up. It looks like this was a distribution run, meaning they pumped it up just so they could distribute into this rally and turn around and flip and be sellers. And I thought there was a high probability we might get funds, hedge funds, and maybe, investment banks too, to start putting on heavy shorts in the futures as a hedge. And that seems to have happened. So zero DTE options were getting pumped, futures are getting pumped. Late. This is already noon Chicago time on a Friday. It's like, who in the hell is buying this market on a Friday? Okay, this looks like a distribution run. I'm gonna fade it, fade it. Maybe we'll get a lower pivot high and rotate lower. Maybe we'll get an equal high test, rotate, or at worst, I'm gonna have to absorb some sort of range extension, a level sweep. And then I need the rotation because I'm not going to let it keep, if it keeps going, then I'm going to stop playing because I don't want to go down 7,500 from my high water benchmark. So I was actually sitting pretty decent because I went in with light position size to right about this area. Uh, I think I picked up my position size right as we approached that pivot. And once we did the level sweep, then I came in with big size. So I was like ones, 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 and I was getting to twos, twos. Then I was in threes, threes, and some fives in here. So I was loaded up in enough size that when she rotated, I cleaned up my cost basis on what I was holding, and then just took some out, took some out, took some out. Because and then when this big move down, now is like, okay, I can get to 20K for sure if we make us run. If we go straight down, I would have been way over 20K. We didn't. So I was, covering, adding, covering, adding, covering. And then right in here, I was short. I was about 18K and change. So I was like, okay, they're going to have to hold it in this range and make one run down to the low, and I'm done. And right when it happened, I think I was at 19,800 and change, piercing through the low as far as after commission. So I need a little bit more. So then I was buying, 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 buying. I just needed a little bit of a bounce, 3, 4 points. I got it, I covered, and I was done, and I was over 20K. So that was like work. I had to work to get that one. If we didn't have PPI today, we probably would have not had this big of a sell-off, but I would have gone in heavier right out of the gates. So in the end, it worked out. Fortunately, the market had a wide range today. If it didn't have a wide range, it would have been hard with the amount of position size I was in the beginning. But later part of the day, when I saw I had a shot, then I just kind of went for it, and then getting a textbook level sweep rotation, that sealed the deal. So there was some brilliant patterns. This W pattern today. Actually, let me expand this view of the filming real quick. Right here, this is a pretty significant pattern, I thought, today. We had such a huge sell-off and we came down, put in a W pattern, and then bounced. I remember seeing that. I know somewhere in here I was just kind of like, okay, I'm done. I made a good chunk today. Yeah, if I would have gone in heavier, I could have hit the 20K. Okay, I'm done. And then later on, in the day, I basically re-engaged in this area as a seller. I was selling this area, and then I faded this move right here. Now the key here is this was a really nice level sweep. So that's why I faded this. I thought, okay, I'm going to get a lower pivot high than this one and rotate lower. I'm going to get a run up to it, to that area, and test it and roll over. Or I'm going to get a lift through it, which I thought was the most probable. The way they were driving this up, I thought, oh, they're going to sweep this area. And I wanted to be safe all the way up to this pivot. So I played enough size that even if we came up here and junked around a bit before we rotated, I wouldn't be anywhere near down 7,500 from my high water benchmark. I would have been down maybe about 3,500. And then if it kept going, just let go and okay, come back and work the account next week, and I'm way up on day one. So let's take a look at this level sweep real quick. So what is a level sweep? It's key levels, either aged or recent, that I track. And this one was pretty prominent because that's a pretty big feat after such a huge sell-off to get this market all the heck the way back up here. So let's go into properties. Let's brighten this up a bit just so you can see it better. And we'll go to a brighter color and make this like a 5. So these are the type of patterns we look for. We look for W patterns. You can buy W patterns in a running uptrend to be a buyer. We had some beautiful, there's just patterns all over the place today. I remember this M right here. I thought that we were going to rotate and really chug on down here. I sold that, didn't get much out of it, came back up, added more liquidity, took some out, added, and so on. But this was the key, this big push. They swept this level. They got sellers that were holding this area price to buy, to cover, to let go. And right away, sell response came in. So there was a point after a little bit of pushing, sell response came in. It started a little bit slow and then it just ripped. So I thought, okay, here we go. Now I got a chance at the 20K. But yeah, lots of really good price patterns. And you can see this is my more responsive chart. So technically, if I'm just trading the day and I'm not, trying to get 20K, there's a W pattern and then a buy signal. Beautiful. Here's a level sweep and then a sell signal. Beautiful. We had little M pattern sells today. W pattern buys. The market started stair stepping higher. You get that big lift, you get some settling back, get a W and lift, and up she goes. So sometimes the market works out, gives you what you needed, and hey, it was a good day. So info@gridalgo.com. for any questions. Talk to you later.